Hi everybody, Miss Tricia here for our second book and cook club of the year. Today we're going to be reading A Fine Dessert, 4 Centuries, 4 Families, One Delicious Treat. It's by Emily Jenkins and the illustrations are by Sophie Blackall. It's a wonderful little book and we're going to be making Blackberry Fool. We'll read the story together and then we'll do a little bit of cooking. It's so good to see everybody. Happy Valentine's week. So let's start with this beautiful book. A bit more than 300 years ago, in an English town called Lyme, a girl and her mother picked wild blackberries. Their hands turned purple with the juice. The thorns of the berry bushes pricked the fabric of their long skirts. So there's the girl and her mother picking some blackberries. When they got home, the woman skimmed the cream off the evening's milk. She added it to the cream for the morning's milk and began to beat it all with a bundle of clean, soft twigs. Beat, 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 beat. Her arm began to ache. Beat, 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 beat. 15 minutes later, she stopped. Whipped cream. The girl drew water from the well. She put the berries in a piece of muslin and rinsed them. Then she squashed and strained them through the muslin, getting rid of the seeds. Together, she and her mother poured sugar on the fruit and then mixed it with the cream. "You may lick the spoon, love," said the woman. So the girl did. They carried the mixture to an ice pint in the hillside. It chilled near sheets of winter ice, packed with reeds and straw. After the family supper, cold chicken, mushroom ketchup, and meat pie, they spooned the Blackberry Fool into the blue dishes and served it to Father and the older brothers. Even the baby had some. Later in the kitchen, the girl licked the bowl clean. What a fine dessert. A bit more than 200 years ago, outside a city called Charleston, South Carolina, a girl and her mother picked blackberries from the plantation garden. A horse-drawn wagon delivered cream from a nearby dairy. The girl beat the cream with a metal whisk made by the local blacksmith. Beat, 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 beat. Her arm began to ache. Beat, beat. 10 minutes later, whipped cream. The girl washed the berries in water from the well. Then she smashed them through a tin sieve with the back of a spoon, getting rid of the seeds. Together, she and her mother poured sugar on the fruit and then mixed it with the cream. "You may lick the spoon, child," the woman said. So the girl did. They carried the mixture to a wooden box in the basement. It was stacked with blocks of ice, lined with lead and insulated with cork. They put the bowl in. After a waiting table at supper, where the master and his family ate turtle soup, roast turkey, corn cakes, and sweet potatoes, they spooned the Blackberry Fool into yellow dishes and served it. Later, the girl and her mother hid in the closet and licked the bowl clean together. What a fine dessert. A bit more than 100 years ago, in a city called Boston, Massachusetts, a girl and her mother bought 2 wooden boxes of blackberries at an open-air market. When they got home, their morning's delivery of pasteurized cream was waiting at the door in pretty glass bottles. The woman looked at a recipe book. She beat the cream with cast iron rotary beaters. Whir, whir. 5 minutes later, whipped cream. The girl drew water from the new faucet in the kitchen. She washed the berries and smashed them through a sieve with her fingers. Her hands turned purple with the juice. Together, she and her mother poured sugar on the fruit and then mixed it with the cream. "Do you want the spatula, my pet?" said the woman. "Yes, please," said the girl, and licked it clean. They carried the Blackberry Fool to a wooden icebox stocked with blocks of ice they had delivered each day. After Sunday dinner, potato soup, roast chicken, and canned asparagus on toast, they spooned the Fool into green dishes and ate it together with father and the younger brothers. Even the baby had some. Mm-mm-mm. Back in the kitchen, the girl ran her tongue along the inside of the bowl. What a fine dessert. Just a couple of years ago, in a city called San Diego, California, a boy and his dad bought 2 cardboard boxes of blackberries and a carton of pasteurized organic cream at the supermarket. When they got home, the man printed out a recipe from the internet. The boy beat the cream with an electric mixer. Zzz. 2 minutes later, whipped cream. It reminded the boy of shaving foam. The man ran water in the sink and washed the berries in a colander. He crushed them in a food processor, then pushed them through a sieve with a plastic spatula. Together, they poured sugar on the fruit and then mixed it with the cream. "Can I lick the spatula?" asked the boy. "Of course you can, buddy," said the man. So the boy did. They put the mixture in the refrigerator. The doorbell rang and friends surged in, bringing cartons of lemonade, grilled vegetables, enchiladas, and tomato salad. After a long, good dinner, the man and his son spooned the Blackberry Fool into white dishes and served it to their guests. Everyone gobbled it up, especially the babies. After the guests went home, the boys stood in the messy kitchen, licking the inside of the bowl. What a fine dessert! But the Blackberry Fool had been so very, very delicious. There wasn't much left. And that's it. That's a fine dessert. And we have our recipe in the back. If you're following along with the book at home, we do have copies of the book available for checkout at OWL. And I like this story because it just kind of shows the different tools we use, the different ways we source our food. And it's also kind of a fun, easy thing for us to make. So, as always, I have my ingredients already set the way they're listed here. So I have 1.5 cups of heavy cream. I have a 1/2 cup of sugar divided in 2. So I have 2 ramekins with a 1/4 cup of sugar in each. I have vanilla, and then I have the blackberries. And they're all washed, ready to go. And I have them in a colander. I don't have a sieve, which I'm, again, always surprised. Something that I assume I have that I don't, but we can still make it work. So this is the fun part, I think, which is just we're going to smush these blackberries through the colander or sieve if you have one. Now, you can use other berries too if you weren't able to find blackberries. Raspberries work. Basically, you just want some yummy berries. Strawberries would be a little hard to smush like this, so blackberries or raspberries are probably your best bet. Okay. They're going through. I know you're just seeing me and not the blackberries, but it's doing exactly what it should be doing. Okay. And when it comes to the cream, which we're going to do next, we'll whip some cream. I have a stand mixer I'm going to use. And if it's anything like the little boy who used the electric mixer, it'll probably only take a few minutes to form the soft peaks that you want to form. If you're using a whisk, I would definitely make it a family affair and take turns, because that will take quite a bit longer than it would to use the stand mixer or a hand mixer. Okay, So this is almost done. I'm going to start the next step where I'm just going to put our heavy cream and half of that sugar. The other half is going to go onto the blackberries. And then a teaspoon of vanilla. And that I didn't pre-measure because I didn't want the vanilla going all over the place. So I'll just do that now. Oops. Okay. And I'm excited to try this. I have not made it. This is a trial run for me too. I kind of like making things for the first time with all of you. So if we run into any problems or anything, we're all doing it together. But this is a nice, simple recipe. So it should be fun. I'm trying to start us off with simpler things, which is why we made pickles the first week. And mine actually came out really good. I hope yours did too. I was very pleasantly surprised by how good the refrigerator pickles were. Next week, we're making bao, which is going to be tricky, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And then our last week this year, we are making Thunder Cake, which is from one of my favorite books, an older book called Thunder Cake by Tricia Blackall. Now, okay, wonderful. So I'm just going to pour the sugar onto the blackberry kind of puree that we have here. And we'll stir it up. And as always, before I start cooking with all of you, I tie my hair back. I wash my hands really, really good. Okay. Wonderful. Now, I'm not going to make you stand here while the mixer goes for a few minutes. So I'll pause and be right back once we have the whipped cream ready to go. Okay, the whipped cream is ready. It took longer than I anticipated, which is why it's always good when there's times, whether it's cook times or anything with prep with cooking, that you really go by other clues and not just time. So in the story, the little boy said that the whipped cream reminded him of shaving foam. And that's a pretty good way to describe what you kind of want to end up with. Not something stiff, but you want, when you lift the whisk out, whether it's a KitchenAid or just a hand whisk, you want the peaks to come up a little, but not really strong. And if you over whipped cream, you end up with butter. So, that's not very dessert-ish. So we want to make sure that we don't do it too much. Again, this did take longer than I thought it was going to. It was the perfect timing for me to clean up all of my other stuff that we used before. Now, we will fold in, so you want to use a spatula, the cream into our blackberries. Okay. And mine probably could have gone another minute or so, but this is going to kind of set a little bit in the fridge for 3 hours at least. So that will help if it's slightly under whipped, which I feel like mine is a little bit. Okay. Now to fold, you just kind of want to slowly mix, but not stir, because all the air that you just put into that whipped cream will end up coming out of it if you mix it too hard. And it's pretty cool. You just end up with this very pretty purple-white swirl. And I'm actually not gonna overfold because I kind of like how it looks not being totally mixed together. Okay. And feel free if you want, and if it's okay with mom and dad, to lick the spatula. Because it is good. Whipped cream and fresh fruit and some sugar. Now mine looks like this. Oops, see, I could have mixed it a little bit more. But I do think it's going to be perfect once it sets for a few hours in the fridge. And just like with the pickles, thank you everyone who told me how your pickles came out. I would love to hear how the Blackberry Fool came out, and if you like it, if you think it's going to be one of your go-to desserts, especially in the summer. I feel like it would be great with fresh blackberries. And that's it. I had so much fun cooking and reading with you today, and I will see you next week for Lily's Dumplings is the book, and we're going to be making bao. Have a great week.